First of all, what is a chart? A chart is a graphical representation of numbers or values. And I want to insert a chart based upon these values here, but before I can do that, I need to first insert my chart. So I'm going to go ahead and click below the table, hit enter a couple of times, because wherever my cursor is flashing, when I insert the chart, that's where it's going to dump it, and I want it well below my table here. Next, to insert the chart, come up here, click on the Insert tab, go to the Illustrations group, and there it is, click on Chart. Over in the navigation pane, you've got quite a few different chart types to choose from, your column, lines, pies, bars. I'm going to go back up to columns. And when you come over here, you can choose your chart, and you can see when I hover over it, it's got clustered column. Over here we've got stack column. I'm going to go ahead and double click on clustered, and it does two things. It inserts the chart, but it's going to be based upon, in the Excel program here, the data contained on that spreadsheet. So if you don't know anything about Excel, I recommend that you watch my Excel training videos, and more especially on charts, because I go over charts way more in depth in my Excel training videos than I will here in Word. But they do integrate. So that's why we've got the Excel program, because the data contained therein is what the chart is based upon. So we've got, for example, category 1 through 4, series 1 through 3, and then the values. Let me close out. On the chart, there's category 1 through 4, series 1 through 3, and then the values. Well, if I want this to be based upon the numbers within my table, or if I don't have a table and I just want to go ahead and change these, you can do it by right-clicking on the chart, going down to Edit the Data, brings up the Excel program again on the worksheet, and I can come up here and change the series, the categories, and type in whatever I would like. That makes sense in the chart. For example, for Series 1, let's say it's going to be Quarter 1, hit the Tab key, Quarter 2, hit the Tab key, and well, you get the idea. When I close out, you can see it's updating to Quarter 1, Quarter 2, so the blues. Here's Quarter 1, and then there's Quarter 2 in red, and then, well, we haven't updated Quarter 3 to be green, it's Series 3, but in any case, I can either go ahead and type in the data, including the values, or better yet, since I have it in table format here, just click and drag to select the values and Control-C to copy, then go ahead and right-click to edit the data, and then come up here in the Excel spreadsheet and paste it. Control-V as in Victor will paste that, and there we go. So I have my quarter 1, 2, and 3, and then the total. Now if you get a bunch of pound symbols, again, Excel is a different program. You want to watch my Excel training videos, and I go over all of this. Just come up here to the column headers in between E and F until my pointer turns into arrows pointing in opposite directions. Double click really fast and it does a best fit for that column to the left of those arrows. So it's this column right here. So the longest text within that column is this right here, so it fit that column so everything can be seen. If it couldn't be seen, it would be, as you just saw, in pound symbols. So now that I can see that, I can go ahead and say, okay, that's what I want, or I can make changes. So if I close out of here, you can see it updated the chart. I have my quarters now 1, 2, and 3, and then my totals. And I have my sales here for Internet, Catalog, Annual Totals, and then Category 4, I need to get rid of that. And of course you have the total values here. So let's go ahead and make some changes. Right-click, go to Edit Data, and then we need to get rid of Category 4, so click and drag to select it, hit the Delete key. Let me click off, and you'll notice this little prompt down below to resize the chart data range, because the range goes a little bit beyond than what I have up above. It contains now this empty row. Go ahead and drag the lower right corner, and you can see in that lower right corner a little tick mark. I call it a little tick mark. Just hover over it till your pointer turns into arrows pointing in opposite directions. Then go ahead and click and drag up and let go so we can have that snugly fit around the data that we want to see within our chart. Okay, looks good. And by the same token, you can click and drag down or over to the right to expand that to include more. We've got columns over here. I can go ahead and type, maybe quarter 4, or change that to the total column, and then this to quarter 4. I mean, you can go ahead and make a lot of changes there, but I'm going to go ahead and click and drag that back in. Okay. So when it comes to adding or changing the data here, it's pretty simple. Just do it within this blue rectangle here, just above and to the left of the tick mark. Let me go ahead and close out. Now let's go ahead and focus on the chart. So when it comes to the chart, if I'm looking at the values for Internet sales, which, by the way, along the bottom here, this is my category X axis, and you can see when I hover over one of those labels, it says horizontal. You see that little pop-up, horizontal category access? Well, as you learn in algebra, that's a horizontal X-axis, and then you have the vertical Y-axis. When I hover over one of those values there, it says it's the vertical value axis, okay? So remember your algebra days, because that's where it plots these points. What points? Well, the values. What values? Because when you look at these columns here, you're looking at the first column and you're going, this blue one, what does blue represent? Well, it's quarter 1, but how much is that? Is it 2,500? The The best way to find out is to hover over it, and it actually gives you a pop-up that tells you that that series is Q1, point internet sales, and the value is 3,154. Now in my Excel training videos I show you how you can go ahead and actually add the number within the column here, and that's a little bit more advanced than what we care to do right here, so we'll keep it simple. Okay, next let's say we want to change the chart type. We don't want a column chart, maybe a bar chart. Go ahead and right click on the chart and go down to change chart type, left click on that, and it brings up the same window again. In which case, if we want a bar chart, go ahead and select that, come over here and go, clustered bar. Let's double click on that. I mean, if that looks good to you, it doesn't to me. In which case, because all the numbers are scrunched up below because it flipped it, now it's over in the vertical y-axis, what used to be the category x-axis. You can hover over the far right middle handle until your pointer turns into arrows pointing in opposite directions, and you can click and drag to expand that so you can reveal those numbers. Or you can go ahead and change it again, just right clicking and going to chart type. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and hit undo a couple of times because I like the column chart. Seems to fit well within the document. If you haven't noticed by now, but whenever you have your chart selected, up here on the ribbon you get the three related tabs: the design, layout, and format for the chart tools. The design tab contains the design elements for your chart, the layout, including labels here, the format tab to change the shape styles, shape fill, the color, the outline, the effects. In any case, if I want to go ahead and add a chart title to my chart, because I mean, what sales are we talking about? What product? Well, let's say it's going to be our essential oils. Then come up here to add a chart title, go to the layout tab, to the labels group, click on the chart title drop down arrow, and you have three choices. Well, right now you don't have a chart title being displayed, so that's why it's highlighted. You can do a chart title that overlays on the chart or just above it. I'm going to choose above it. There you get some generic text. Go ahead and click and drag to select it and type over it, and it's essential oils. Go ahead and click off, and there, now you know what products we've been selling that didn't do so well in our catalog sales as opposed to our internet sales. You can also insert axis titles for your value y-axis and your category x-axis. To do that, again, it's on the layout tab. To the labels group, click on the axis titles drop down arrow. Let's do the horizontal first and put it below. Well, that's the only option we get. Then go ahead and click and drag, select the default text in there, and we'll call it, let's say it's our oil blends. So we have our single oils, then we have our oil blends. Let's say this is the sale for all our oil blends. Okay, click off. Let's go ahead and put another axis title over here. Come back up here to the labels group, click on the axis title drop down arrow, vertical axis, and well, you get more choices here. You can have it rotated, the title, or vertical, so the text is going down vertically, or horizontal. I'm going to do vertical because that sounds fun. And then you'll notice that my I-beam is flipped down, so I can click and drag and select down. Let's go ahead and delete that and type in, hey, these are in dollars. So let me click off, and well, there you go. To get rid of one, just go ahead and select it, hit the delete key, and it gets rid of it. I'm going to go ahead and hit undo. Let's see, what about shape effects? So let's say that I want some sort of glowing effect around my chart here. You can see the handles around the chart. So when I apply effect to it, it'll just be around the box here, not on the actual shapes here, which I go over all that in my Excel training videos. So to keep it simple, let's go ahead and apply it to the entire chart by coming up here, clicking on the Format tab, going to the Shape Styles group, clicking on the Shape Effects drop-down arrow. Let's go to the glow, and ooh, look at those glows. This one says it's blue 8-point glow accent color 1. Okay, click on that, and ooh, that's fancy. And then finally, I want to show you how you can insert a caption to your chart. Why would you want to insert a caption? Well, what is a caption? It's basically text you can have above or below your chart. And instead of just typing it in, you know, when you're reading through a book and you're saying see figure 1, and you type in right here figure 1, and then you type in these are essential oil blends. Instead, if you insert it as a caption, that's coding that Word can read. So if you want to later on insert a table, that automatically collects all those captions that you've inserted within your document and put it into a table at the beginning of your document, well, then go ahead and insert it as a caption. That way I don't have to manually come down here and scroll through thousands of pages in my document and go, let's see, okay, this is figure 1. Scroll down to page 2, okay, that's figure 2, and then copy those figures, trying to guess what page they're on, then going back up to the first page in my document saying, okay, in my table of contents, let's see, figure 1's on page, let's see, 3, figure 2's on page 6, and then if you insert some text, you have to go back down to those pages and update it and say, okay, now this is on page, let's say 20. Avoid all that mess. In fact, you want to watch my training video on table of contents, table of figures. I go over all that. Right here I just want to show you how you can insert a caption so you can later on, if you choose to do it, include that in your, well, table of contents, table of figures, whatever you choose. So to insert a caption, which can be displayed above or below it, so let's go ahead and right click on the chart, not the actual chart itself, but just outside the chart, but not outside the chart. Let me show you what I mean. When you right click within the chart, you get a shortcut menu with so many options. When I go outside of it just a little ways, but still within the border here and right click, I get a whole different set of options here, okay? Which includes the insert caption. That's what I want. Click on it and it says, okay, here's the caption for the label figure. You can choose figure, you can choose table, you can choose equation. Like I said, you want to watch my training videos on figures or tables, depending upon what you want as your caption label. We'll keep it as figure, and I'll come up above and click in the caption field, add the colon, and then type my caption after it and say this is, well, Q3 sales data or sales data for 3 quarters in any case. I can go ahead and position that above the selected item, which is, well, the chart here, or I can put it below and click OK, and there you go. So that way, because I did it the way Word wanted me to do it, it adds some code here. So in fact, when I go ahead and hover over that or click right next to that number 1, you see how it shades, a different shading from what I have selected over here. That means that that number is dynamic. So if I go ahead and watch the training videos on how to insert a table of contents or figures, if I add some more text and this chart gets pushed down to page 5, 6, or 7, I don't have to guess what page it's on. I can go ahead and go to my table of contents or table of figures, and I just need to go ahead and right click on it and say update, and I'll look through the document and say, oh, this is on page, well, 5 or 6, and automatically update the table of contents, showing that this is on page, well, 5 or 6, or whatever page it's on. So that's the reason why you want to go ahead and insert the captions so it tags and ties to the chart, so it can find out what page it's on instead of you scrolling down in here and manually updating this yourself. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel to get notified of the latest videos. And for great specials on my products, please see the description below this video.